Welcome back, guys. This is video 2 from chapter 2. We were discussing marginal analysis. We're going to continue to discuss marginal analysis for a while. We were saying marginal analysis happens. The word marginal means basically incremental additional, like addition, but in incremental small ways. And so we're evaluating whether doing something is worth it, and especially if it is in one more. Do I take an extra shift? Is that overtime worth it for me, right? And when you say that, you're obviously looking at how much more money you will make, but also how much more sleep you will lose, and maybe missing on some fun, and maybe not hanging out with your family when you're being told that you're gone too long and too much. And you're evaluating. So we are evaluating every single day of our lives. There's really nothing new there. So marginal analysis is about that. Now, marginal analysis starts to get into the nitty-gritty of profits. This is very important. If you look at this table right here with me, I want you to notice that of everything that is in here, and this is your marginal cost and this is your marginal revenue column, what matters is the profits. That's what really matters. Why is a business in business? To profit. You may want to ask yourself why you do what you do. Why do you eat the way that you eat? Why do you sleep the hours that you sleep? Why did you choose the job? Why are you in the relationship you're in? You may want to ask yourself and understand and actually walk yourself through the steps of how much am I profiting in the end? And profit doesn't always mean money. It just may simply mean, does this make me happy? Now, for businesses, it's not happiness or well-being. For businesses, it is profit. So definitely go to profits. So if you look at this table, you will notice the more is being produced, and these are the units from 10 to 20, 30, etc. The marginal cost here is changing per unit, and so is the marginal revenue. The marginal revenue is the additional benefit. Now, if we look at the profits, we notice that this company peaks in profits at between 60 and 70 units. The profits are the same for these 10 units right here from 60 to 70. But since this is a company and they are in the business of producing as much as possible, it makes sense that they would actually maximize profits at 70, right? So they would aim and produce 70. Now, I want to take us to a table that you guys have in your booklet. This is a table that highlights for you how to really look at marginal analysis. So we have a bakery, and we have a bakery that produces X number of cakes. Each cake has a particular cost. So the first cake is costing the bakery $10, but the fourth cake $13, and the sixth cake $18, etc. This cake has a price, and you can tell that what the marginal benefit here is the price of the cake. So the first cake the company can sell at 25, but notice how, for instance, to sell 5 cakes, they have to lower the price to 21, because as you know, the more you are enticing people to come buy from you, the more value you want to give them. And there's more than one kind of value, but one of them is the price that somebody is paying. So the value against the wallet and how much money they have. So obviously we view things that are cheaper as having more value. And then the profit that is being generated. So if you look at this bakery, and we have a question here that says, why isn't it worth it to produce the 7th cake? Because look at what happens to the profits. Now the profits keep growing. The first cake is selling for $25. The cost is $10. This bakery is netting $15. That's the profit from the first one. The second one is similar, but notice that the third one, it's not anymore. Because the actual price had to go down at a time when the cost per cake went up, now they are actually netting less. Instead of $15 for the first one, they're netting only $11 for the third one. Now, if you come all the way down to 7, what do you see? 52 in profit. And I have it in red because we often think of, like in red as in you're not doing as well. Now, this is not a loss, but you can see how it's diminishing. The profits peak at 6 units at 55, and then they go down to 52, and then they go down to 43. Not a good deal. So this is showing you that for this company, their profits peak at 55. You come all the way here and say, okay, so 6 is the one that I actually, I ended up moving that table. 6 is the one that I actually need to produce, 6 units and no more than that. So this is basically what we are looking at when it comes to marginal analysis. So on the quiz, you're going to have a table similar to this where I say, what's the ideal number of units to produce? Just look at the profit margin. Where does it peak? That's your ideal number of units. If it peaks where, like in the previous one, like over here, Where you see anything from 60 to 70, go with the greater number of units. And that really is as simple as that. Our next point is the production possibilities curve. And I have other videos, remember, about the construction, where I literally walk you through the construction of all of this. But for now, to keep it nice and clean and give you a general idea of the chapter, we're look what it's called, production possibilities curve. I'm an author, I'm a writer I love words, and it makes me pause and ask myself, what is it saying? What level of production is possible? It's telling you this nation, what is it possible for this nation to produce? What type of products? How many? What's the combination of goods that it can actually produce? Now, I want you to notice that the PPC is always bows out. It looks like pregnant, doesn't it? It bows out. It also touches both axes. Why does it touch both axes? It touches both axes because it is possible to produce, for instance, in this nation, they produce wine and they produce cotton. This nation can put all of its resources, remember the 5 ingredients we talked about, the technology, land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. You can put all of those resources and technology right into the production of wine and produce this maximum level right here. So it touches it. Or, which means obviously before I continue, that you produce 0 down here of cotton. If you put 100% of your resources, any point on the axis itself means down here it's 0. It is also possible for this nation to put all of its resources into cotton. So they can produce at this point right here, meaning all of the land, labor, entrepreneurship, capital, plus the technology can all go into cotton. Now that's not likely. Nations don't want to put all their eggs in one basket, just like you and I don't want to put all of our eggs in one basket. So the odds are they're going to go for a combination of wine and cotton. Now, why does this curve bow out like that? This is because of the law of increasing opportunity cost. I have a special video on that, so please watch it, where I explain to you why it ends up looking like that. But for now, we're going to focus on what it is. Now, these points that fall on ABC, that fall on the curve, these are points of efficiency. Efficiency means 100% of all the resources and technology are actually being used. Nothing is being missed. All the time that we have 24/7, we're using it. All of our labor, all of our capital, everything that we have. So it's not likely, is it? Because there are idle resources and technology in an economy all the time. Think of yourself. Are you always going at 100%? Are you always using all your mental capacity, all your physical capacity at 100%? It really isn't possible. We rest, we sleep, we get fatigued, we goof off, we do all kinds of things. An economy is the same way. It gets fatigued, it goofs off, it makes mistakes, it misses something. Some factory could be shut down, people can be on vacation. It is not possible. So what is most likely going to happen is that an economy is going to fall right here in the frontier. See this whole space between the curve? I wish this was in a different color, but this whole space here filled in, imagine this 90-degree angle and all inside this PPC is called the frontier. So the reason this is called Production Possibilities Frontier, the PPF, is, and this is why I picked this for you, is because most likely a nation is in its frontier. Now, if you look at what point X is, what it's showing you that this nation produces less than the maximum of wine, less than the maximum of cotton because there's a trade-off, but it produces a combination, and this combination is at this level. Now, it can be here, it can be here, it can be there, it can be pretty much anywhere in the frontier. Now, what is Y? Y is unattainable. This is not possible. Okay, it's called unattainable. Why? Because it takes more resources and technology to be at point Y than we actually have. So imagine X right now is the car you drive. That car is something that, like, let's say you drive an American car or an American-made car, and this car is possible here. Now imagine if you want a flying car. Well, MIT developed one. They're not the only ones, but I don't see anybody whizzing by my window. Do you see them by your window? No. So in order for us to one day, in order for us to one day maybe have cars that lift and fly. Maybe this is the year 2050. Maybe this is the year 2070. The PPC has to actually move outwardly for that to happen. The only way that can happen is technology and resources have to increase here, and technology and resources have to increase here. So let's say maybe we're talking, since this is wine, let's say we're talking about wine and cotton. Maybe we want cotton that is as tough as steel. That's not today, that's later in the future. Maybe we want wine that also kills cancer cells. Yeah, not here, but in the future. So maybe at this point here, we are producing something unattainable now, just not yet. Now, what makes this PPC shift to the outwardly to the right? We say outwardly and inwardly because it's both. More technology and resources. What would make it shift to the left? Less technology and resources. Positive things happen to a nation, the PPC shifts to the right. Negative things happen to a nation, it shifts to the left. For instance, nations that have war, they are seeing destruction of their natural resources. They're losing people in the war, so they're definitely losing labor and entrepreneurship. They're seeing unused and feral and land, and I mean, everything goes backwards, right? So the maximum capacity of a nation shrinks. So think of the PPC as the maximum capacity and all the possible combinations. I have to start clicking on these. And think of outside as unattainable. Anything on the inside, any combination is possible. So here, this is a graph that's basically showing the outward shift of a PPC. So you see how in this nation is showing you actually that both have increased. I have an explanation on Blackboard for you about a pivot, where basically only one of the two actually increases. So if you see this curve here touching, it's higher on the Y, then only the Y has seen an increase in resource and technology. If it pivots on the X, right? So this is the same point here, but down here it's bigger and past where it was. That's a pivot on X, and that actually shows you that there's an increase in whatever production there is on X. So that's basically the production possibilities curve. There are other videos. Please watch them. This has gone too long. I'm going to stop it right now and start a new video. I'll see you in video 3.